Welcome to the Unifier webinar. I'm going to assume the role of a project manager for an owner that is logged into Unifier. And once you log into the Unifier software, you have tabs up along the top called Home, Company Workspace, and All Projects. We're going to start with the Home tab. And when you log in, you will have on the left-hand side a folder structure which has the different Unifier folders. And on the right-hand side, you'll have a workspace which will tell you certain things as far as tasks, messages, any drafts for documents, which we'll talk a little bit more about later, and any internal emails, and any projects or tasks that you are assigned to. Clicking on the Tasks tab allows you to see specifically tasks that you have been assigned to within the software. Messages are any messages that come to or from other participants that are in the software. Drafts are any documents that you're working on within a certain business process, such as requests for information, budgets, contracts, that have not been completed and are still in transition of being worked on, and that will be in your drafts. Umail is any internal email that has been sent within the software. And the master business processes are any business processes that you have been assigned to, such as change orders, requests for information, transmittals. You can click on any of those business processes and then actually see the actual documents as we're used to seeing, and can actually click and access any of those documents within a business process such as RFIs. Next, I'm going to go to the Company Workspace. We're assuming the role of an owner called Philadelphia County School. The way the software is set up is that whoever is the owner of the company will set that up with collaboration and document manager and resource manager, company logs and reports to support that owner or company that is set up. One of the things that's different than contract management is you can assume a role and have different documents assigned. Within Unifier, you have a sole proprietary owner that is in charge of this company workspace. So when we say company workspace, we're also relating that to who the owner is that's using the software. And within this company workspace, we have different ways that we can view information. But what we're going to do is we're going to go from what's called user mode to administration mode. And here what we have is a way to, based on your user rights, a way to create all the different attributes that need to be set up to support Philadelphia County Schools. We have what are first called partner companies. Partner companies are people or companies or users that will participate in Unifier that support Philadelphia County School. So what we have here is we have a general contractor who will be doing the work for the owner, a consultant that acts as the basically the owner's representative, and then we have design group, which will be the architect. So just a basic setup to understand how partner companies work. And these are companies that will participate in the software. Under user administration, we have what are called company users. Company users are users that will be logging into the software under the owner, Philadelphia County School in this example. Partner users, again, we talked about the partner companies. These will be the actual users under the partner companies. And then we have groups, where we can take those different users and put them into a group under a group name. Under system reports, a nice feature of Unifier is that anyone that has the correct access at this level can log in and actually see user information as they've logged into the software. So here what we can do is click on the usage detail by user, and it'll actually run a audit report. So if I click run, here I can see that I have different users that have logged into the software, and I can actually see an audit report of when they logged in, the date, the time, their usage, and what parts of the software they actually accessed. So under the administration mode is where an administrator will set up all of the different information and attributes about that company under Company Workspace. Under All Projects tab, this is where we have all of the different projects that will be created. And in this case, we're using the Philadelphia School District as the owner. We have different tasks, messages, drafts, and emails that pertain to this overall projects tab. And then down here we have the actual projects that will be listed. You also have under View Dashboard a way to see different information about all of the projects. And to log into an individual project, you can double click here on an actual project, and now we've drilled down into the actual project itself. And here I can see I've got a folder structure on the left, and on the right I have my workspace. And under View Dashboard, I can have different graphical dashboards that can be displayed. Here I'm showing my contracts by status, and I can actually put my mouse on the graphic right here and get a little pop-up box that shows me information. Change orders. Then project delivery on my dashboard. I can see action items, RFIs, and submittals. For the time that we have in the webinar, we don't have time to go through all of these different modules. Some of the important ones, though, that we'll key on is Cost Manager, which is our cost worksheet. So if we click on the cost sheet and double click that, here's where I can see all of my cost information pertaining to my project. And I can see that I have my original budget, Anyone who's familiar with contract management, you will notice that a lot of these columns are the same. I can expand, which is kind of nice in Unifier, that I can also have a roll-up, based on CSI code of my different cost codes. I have my, approved, revised budget. Then I have my commitments. So the cost sheet is where we'll see all the cost information. And what's kind of nice here too is that I can click on any of these cost codes, and actually it will take me into that cost code and show me where this cost code has been allocated to. So the cost manager is where we'll see all our cost information. Under project delivery, this is where we'll see all of our different documents, such as daily reports, meeting minutes, RFIs, submittals, transmittals. So a lot of our project documents. But the way Unifier refers to these is not documents, which is what we're kind of used to calling them in contract management. These are business processes. Unifier designates different business processes, such as a request for information business process, and allows you to have a workflow and a process for actually creating what we would call a document. Under cost controls, we have all our cost information, such as budgets, contracts, change orders, purchase orders, payment requisitions, and so forth. So we're going to go into project delivery and click on request for information business process. And here we have a record of all our different RFIs that have been created, which we're typically used to calling documents. And if I click on one of those, I can open up an existing RFI document in the request for information business process, which is how Unifier is set up. So here I can see I have a RFI with some basic information. I can click on the different tabs and roll that up or down. And I can use my scroll button or scroll on my mouse to scroll up and down to see different parts of the document. And then I can use the close window. So to actually create a document, we click New. And it'll create a new document within that business process. And here we can give it a title. Then we have specific, right here, red asterisks for required fields. Then under category, I can select my different information. I can link it to a specific contract, which is important because there is a linked records and a way that you can link documents to specific contracts. So we'll select that contract as being linked to this RFI. Reference number, subcontractor number, architect number, required date. Type the question here. You have a proposed solution. Type the answer. Now, obviously, an RFI has to go through a process. So what we'll actually do is just type the question. And then once that information has been filled in, then we go to Workflow Actions and say Send for Response. And we can actually send that to somebody. In this demonstration, I'll send it to myself, Michael Stahl. Click OK, and then Send. And that will send the document to that individual. In this case, I'm sending it to myself. Here I can see I have a new task. I can click on that. Here I've got the RFI. So now I can double click that. Now I'll actually open the RFI. And once it's been opened, I have to accept the task. And I can see here that I've received an email notifying me that this is a system-generated email. I've been sent an RFI. Here I can see all the information about that RFI. And at the bottom, I have two options within Unifier. I can click here to log in if I'm not logged in. And option 2, which is nice, is I can actually select a response in my workflow, submit final response, submit technical review, or send back for clarification. And I also have a PDF of the actual RFI that I can see. So what's nice is it notifies you automatically of an RFI. So I've accepted the task. I then can submit final response, click Send. Again, I'm sending this to myself. Here it shows up in my tasks. So I can double click that, open up the RFI, and based on the workflow, which I'm going to show here in a second, I accept the task. Then once I've accepted the task, I can go to my workflow and I'll choose Close RFI, Send. Again, here's my action items. Now what I can do is I can go to my Document Manager, Documents, and I can go to Project Delivery, and I can actually see my document. And again, I have another email that has popped in that shows me that I've been sent that RFI. And here I can actually see my documents and a PDF. What I'm going to do is go back to my project delivery, and I'll actually go back to my overall project, go to tasks, open up that RFI. What I want to show next is that RFI has to go through a process. And during that process, or business process as Unifier defines it, I can now select different information. And in my RFIs, I have a workflow that can be set up. So here I'm going into my underground utilities RFI. And that workflow of who it's going to and from can be predefined. And if I click down here under task details to view the process details, here I can see my RFI process, creation, clarification, coordination, acceptance, technical review, end, and I can see any of the users, and I can see its status, and then I can click View Graphic. And under View Graphic, I can see my actual workflow that has been created, and I can see the actual business process for my RFIs. And this is the same for any document that's created. The other nice thing is that if I go to my cost controls, budgets, and I open a document in Unifier, any budget or contract that's been created will be listed here. Budget approval is where we would normally see our budget information. Under contracts, we have our committed contracts. So I'm going to go back to budget approval. And what I want to show is that any document that's created under budget can be set up to be set up between the owner, and here is an example of contingency. And I can double click that, and pretty similar to contract management, here I can see my contingency cost code and I can see my allocation. One of the nice things about Unifier that we kind of related to in contract management as issues is a way to link documents to each other and be able to see that audit trail. And in Unifier, if I open up a specific contract, in this case it's a committed contract, and I go to View, Reference Records, here I can get what we call the Spiderweb, where I can actually see documents that are related to this contract. And on the right-hand side, I can see a list of those documents, but here I can see any RFIs, vendors, change orders, budgets, meeting minutes, daily reports, all related to this contract. Then if I close this window and I go to View Audit Log, I can also get a list of all the different individuals that have logged in to this contract and modified it. So I want to thank you for attending the webinar. There is a lot more to Unifier, but for our time purposes here, we're able to show just some of the basics. If you have any questions, please feel free to email us. Again, I want to thank you for attending the webinar, and have a good day.